Brad, what's the biggest mistake most of us make when communicating with other people?
I personally believe that we try to get into the questions too quick without opening people up. Having seen your podcast, I think is a perfect example of that. As you kind of open people up, you establish that rapport, and then you get to the questions that you want to get. So I think communication today, and partly because we are almost in this text asynchronous communication mode where I send a text, I have time to think, they have time to think, and we have this manufactured communication. So free flowing, lack of improv, not really connecting with people, not being curious about what makes them tick, and just in this transactional talk, I think is the problem that we have today.
Gentlemen, on today's episode, I'm sitting down with a man who knows more about building rapport, building trust, and communicating with anyone than most people will ever know. Brad Beeler holds the record for criminal polygraph exams in the United States Secret Service. As a 25-year veteran, he has learned to communicate in a way that people will tell him things that go against their own best interest. So, I mean, if you're communicating with the worst of the worst, how do you get them to tell you things that don't serve them? How do you communicate with anyone in a deep, impactful way and build trust? Well, the good news is it has nothing to do with enhanced interrogation techniques.
Sleep deprivation, waterboarding, stress position, flat out assault.
So we can actually use this information. But the key is found in genuine curiosity.
Curiosity.
Brad breaks down how curiosity has helped him through over 5,000 interrogations with some really, really hideous people. We reined it in because we couldn't say some of those things on the show because Brad has had to sit with the worst and the worst. But he shares how the same curiosity that's helped him through these interrogations can revolutionize your communication skills with the people who matter in your life, whether it's coworkers, your spouse, or your kids. Curiosity is the secret to how you communicate and how you connect and build trust with the people you need to talk to. Let's get into it. The Driven to Thrive broadcast, purpose, growth, and lasting impact for men. Helping men go from living to thriving, purpose-filled, intentional lives. Welcome to the Driven to Thrive broadcast, purpose, growth, and lasting impact for men. I'm your host, Brent Allen, and we help men go from living to thriving, purpose-filled, intentional lives. My guest today has conducted more criminal polygraph exams than any other agent in Secret Service history and has secured hundreds of confessions. Retired United States Secret Service agent Brad Beeler. Brad, welcome to the Driven to Thrive broadcast.
Thank you so much, Brent. Appreciate the opportunity.
Now, Brad, you've seen the show, and we like to start out kind of light. So how's your trivia?
Bring it.
All
We'll
right.
see.
What was the top grossing movie of 2014? Was it A, The Hunger Games, B, The Lego Movie, C, Captain America Winter Soldier, or D, Guardians of the Galaxy?
I'm going to go Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right. Guys, you know the rules. Don't cheat. And for God's sake, do not write if you're listening to this in the car, where I know most of you are. Now, Brad, I don't like to do huge introductions because I can't capture who you are. So today, in this moment, we'll get into everything before this, but today, in this moment, who is Brad Beeler?
Basically, I'm a son of two wonderful parents that have just went through their 60th year anniversary. I'm the husband of an amazing wife who's kept me on my toes for 26 years. Father of two wonderful kids that definitely bring a little comic relief on a daily basis. And now I'm retired. So, anytime you've been doing something for 25 years and you all of a sudden pull the plug, trying to find my next adventure.
60 years. Man, that is just so congratulations to your parents, dude. That is just such an
awesome,
huge thing. How long have your wife and you been married now?
26. So we got married right before I came into the Secret Service. So it's a hard job and lots of travel. And I think we missed 17 of those anniversaries due to the fact that we got married in September, and we always have protection in September at the United Nations. So it was one of those things where I was always gone, but she is an absolute trooper, and blessed that she's always been by my side.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
I can't imagine being retired already. You look young and healthy, and like you're fit fiddle, and you got kids, and it's like retired, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm
People,
still getting used to it. I'm blessed. I enjoy Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so it's given me a lot more time to train and things like that, and write a book, and so all that has been nice free time. But being able to spend time now with my kids, especially during the summer, has been great.
that's awesome. What is a common misconception people have about Secret Service agents?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of times people view the Secret Service strictly as a protective organization, which we are at a very high level, at a worldwide level, not just with the president, vice president, and candidates, but also every foreign head of state, the equivalent of our president, that comes into the United States gets full time Secret Service protection. So it's a hard job. It's a fun job, but it's one of those things that a lot of people don't understand what we do. You're taking care of this person 24 hours when they're sleeping. You're there. All those things. Obviously, we have shifts, but the Secret Service actually started in 1865, and it was one of the great ironies of history that Abraham Lincoln signed us into law just before he went to Ford's Theater. Okay, so he could have probably used us, but what he was signing into law was an organization that worked counterfeit money. So for the last 160 years, we've worked financial crimes as much as we've done protection. So um, it's one of those things where I started in Chicago. I started working counterfeit financial crimes, organized crime before we would do protection. So it's a way for us to augment our protective skills, and then also when you can't do protection for 25 years, so it's a way to kind of pull back a little bit, but still keep your brain active. So I think a good protection agent is a good investigation agent, and vice versa. So I'd say that's the biggest myth, is that people think we're always running next to the limo, and that's not the case. And when it comes to protection, I spent a lot more times in an empty stairwell or next to a dumpster than I did running next to the limo.
Not quite as glorious as everybody imagines it.
No, no.
Brad, you did Army investigation, right, with CID. You've been a skilled interviewer now across multiple agencies between Army and into the Secret Service. You've worked with one of the most elite agencies in the world. What is the singly most important thing you've learned at this point in your life?
Oh, geez. With me in the Secret Service, I had a unique kind of experience. So yeah, I've got some great pictures with the presidents and things like that. And that's amazing. But for me, I would say I was more into the investigations, and definitely having spent 17 years in polygraph, for me, it was about learning how to communicate with people that are in a difficult situation, that there's a significant life event going on. Either they've been trying to get a job with the Secret Service, so I'm trying to navigate, because we test all our applicants. I'm trying to handle that sensitive situation and navigate them to get good people into the organization, and also weed out people that are a problem. But what we would like to do is we always would give back to the local community by doing polygraphs for local police departments. And for me, that was my biggest takeaway in my time with the Secret Service, was being able to work hundreds of cases of homicide, child sexual assault, child sexual abuse material, where we could learn how, in this difficult situation, to determine if this person did that bad thing or not. And if they did that bad thing, how can I get them in the right headspace to want to feel comfortable enough with me to disclose to me that they did that bad thing. And to me, that was my biggest takeaway, was learning how to get effective at getting people to disclose things that is probably not in their best interest, and then hopefully bring closure to the victims and provide justice for the individuals that committed those acts.
Brad, you said you retired recently, and you're getting into some podcasting. You're writing your book. It's coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
So, do you have a plan? What are we going to be doing for a living now?
Well, man, I hope to be doing some fishing and hunting, but obviously there's a lot that goes into the book process. When you go through a book publisher versus self-publishing, they put it on Amazon 8 months before it comes out, and then they want you to do, which is good marketing, they want you to hit as many podcasts as possible and increase your followers and your website and all this. And I'm Cro-Magnon man when it comes to marketing and self-promotion and all that, so I'm not good at that. I've learned a lot, and I've got a lot of good people that are there. But yeah, so for the next 8 months, it's going to be doing wonderful shows like yours and things like this to try to hopefully get the book in the right space to where it can hopefully help some people. And basically what it's about, and I'm not here to promote the book, but it's one of those things where I just basically try to make people better at having difficult conversations, from prepping for the conversation to getting a better first impression, all the way down to what's the world's perfect handshake, because that has such an amazing introduction. And also, you do it when you end a conversation, and people tend to remember the first and last things when they talk to someone. And so, if you mess that up, you go downhill quickly. To active listening, to detecting deception, to if somebody is deceptive with you, how do you get them to open up to you? And this could be a kid, it could be in the boardroom, or it could be in law enforcement. So I'm trying to kind of provide what I did in the law enforcement and protection realm and provide that to the soccer mom, those, make it universally useful to people.
Now, I've seen the Mythbusters episode recently with my daughters, actually, because we're watching old reruns of Mythbusters. They're 10 and 13, so it's a great show for them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them bombed at trying to cheat the polygraph. Can you actually cheat a polygraph? Everybody wants to know.
Okay, so I'll be a little careful with what I talk about,
Right.
but I want to use an analogy for you. All right. First, when I go get on a plane, when I was in the Secret Service, we would travel on plane armed. So we would have to go meet the pilot, go through security, and so on and so forth. And when I would identify myself to the pilot, the first two questions they'd ask me about polygraph are, is it effective? And can you beat it? And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about here with you. So let me talk about the effective part first, right? So, little personal story about me. My wife got breast cancer last year. She's thankfully just beat it and she's got into remission. But the amazing thing about it is, the mammogram caught it. And then she had to go in for further tests and she got her chemotherapy and it all worked out. So, mammograms are about 88, depending on who you ask, 88 to 90% effective. Polygraphs, depending on who you ask, are 85 to 90% effective. So I'm not trying to equate polygraph with a medical device, but I'm saying it's a tool that, if used in the right time, at the right place, on the right person, with the right questions, it can help you diagnose an issue and lead to further inquiry, which is what obviously they did with my wife. And so I think there's a lot of value if you look at it like that. It is not perfect. It shouldn't be used in court because not everybody goes to the perfect school. Not everybody has quality control. Not everybody does cases when they should do it and not do it when they shouldn't. A lot of people will do the Jerry Springer type polygraph, and that's what people know it as. Are you the father? Are you? That is not polygraph. Okay. So I will say that as far as effectiveness, if done in the right situation at the right time, so be it. It's kind of another analogy I like to give, Brent, is it's kind of like when people say, oh, it doesn't measure lies, it measures stress. And I'm like, okay, well, a smoke alarm doesn't measure a fire, but we still use them, right? In that, if I put a smoke alarm in the kitchen, I'm going to get some false reads, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be cooking, whatever the case may be. But if I take that smoke alarm and I put it in an upstairs bedroom, oh, it's not measuring fire. We probably shouldn't take it. Well, you know what it measures? 500 degrees in smoke. And that's uninhabitable. So I would want to know that. So it's the same thing with polygraph. I need to use it in the right time, in the right place. And I need to take everything with a grain of salt and use that as part of an investigation. But also, the polygraph is one thing. It's the information that I utilize in speaking to a person that had problems during a polygraph. You may not be able to use the polygraph in court, but when somebody says, I did that bad thing, I shot that person, whatever the case may be, to me during that session, I can definitely use that. So that would be the first part of that argument. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of monopolizing but I figured the follow-up question was going to come. So as far as can you beat it? All the federal intel agencies, the federal law enforcement agencies that use this, we are very aware of what's on TikTok, of what's out there, right? Regarding do this, do that to affect your physiology. If I do something twice a day for 25 years, I'm going to know what normal physiology is. And I'm going to also know what TikTok produced physiology is, right? If something could be beaten, we wouldn't use it. Why would we use it? It would be like if TSA, if there was a TikTok that came out that said, hey, if you want to get through TSA, just wear this over your body or apply this to your body and you'll get through TSA. Okay. Would TSA still use that equipment if it could be beaten? Probably not. And it's almost like you have to provide logic to people that sadly get online, they go down this rabbit hole. If you type in polygraph on Google, you're going to get 2 million hits. The first 3 pages are going to be all polygraph sucks. You're going to be a false positive. You need to do this to help yourself out. So you're never going to get to that 4th page where you really start realizing, oh, okay, if done in this manner, so on and so forth, if I'm just honest on my forms, I'll pass. But the way a polygraph works is somebody goes online and one of 2 things happen. They either feel like they need to help themselves out, and we'll see it, or what they'll do is, man, I did use marijuana 2 years ago. I know it's asking me if I ever used an illegal drug. You know what? Nobody saw me do that. I'll just put no. And then when you're asked a question on the polygraph, did you falsify any information on your application forms? What do you think you're going to be thinking about the entire time? Oh, damn. And it's going to be an explosion inside your body. And I don't care what TikTok tells you to do, we're going to see it. And if you try to do something to suppress it, we're going to see it. But either way, the best way to pass a polygraph is to not research it, get a good night's sleep, put food in your belly, come in and bare your soul. If you do that, chances are you will pass.
I actually hated even writing that down on my notes because I know you get asked that.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
Oh, there's those questions when you find doing research on somebody's like, shoot, if I don't ask this, someone's gonna want.
Mm-hmm. Right? Absolutely.
But you got to ask those. Mythbusters came to the same conclusion back in the 90s. Like all 3 assistants and all of them like the guy running it just like, yeah, you all failed.
Yeah, right.
They tried
don't do things you learn on TikTok.
Right? Yeah, because we all know that TikTok is the age of wisdom now.
Yes, unfortunately.
Brad, you talk to some of the worst people in the world. And you mentioned earlier helping out with child cases and stuff like that. How do you deal emotionally with talking to murderers and child sex offenders and the worst of the worst? That's got to weigh on you.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I'm not going to say that talking to people that take the life of another person is easy, but many of the people that I talked to that committed a homicide, they did it against somebody else that, definitely not saying they deserved it, but somebody else that maybe did something to their friend or murdered somebody else. And it was a situation where that person was not a person they just picked up out of the phone book. It was not a person they abducted on the street. It was somebody they had beef with because that person had committed a crime against them or so on and so forth. Doesn't make it right. I'm not condoning that. But when I would go home at night, it was a little bit different. Now, some of the homicides that I worked where an 11-year-old girl was hit by a stray bullet or a 6-year-old was shot accidentally, that obviously that weighs on you. But in the hundreds of situations where I dealt with people that would download child sexual abuse material, we don't call it child pornography anymore. We've really gotten away from that because it's not a choice. It's not pornography. It's abuse matter. So we call it child sexual abusive material. In that, when you would talk to these individuals and they would talk about how they groomed a kid and how they exploited this kid, that is like, they would do the same stuff that our spies would do on how to try to get a source, but they weren't doing it to try to advance America's interests. They were trying to do it to advance their own interests. And they were scarring these kids for their entire life. And to not show contempt when you're talking to them and to help them rationalize their behaviors, the problem, because the cognitive dissonance between who you are and who you are in the interview room, to get them to feel comfortable and to fight off showing that contempt, Brent, is what is hard. And when you come home and you're greeted by your kids running up to you, hey, Dad, you're home, it's late, and you go to tuck them into bed, that's the mental calculus. It's a problem. And I'm always blessed because I would intentionally shield myself from the images, the abuse images, because I would find if I was to see those, there's no amount of suppression can keep those from coming to earth. So that's why so many of our people that work those cases from a forensic angle that have to look at the images really have to sit in with a counselor every once in a while. There's certain tips and tricks we can do. I don't want to call them tricks, but just ways we can lighten this, in that I never do my work at home. I never write reports at home. I always get a jujitsu session in before I write my report. When I come home from a long case, Brent, one of the things I found, I've got this Dr. Stacy with the Washington Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. She's amazing, where she taught me how to play a video game in your driveway before you walk in the house. And that way I'm doing something. It could just be a game of chess, but I'm having to think. And so the last thought when I cross the threshold into my house and greet my kids is not that bad thing. So for me, that's made it better, but it's very, very difficult, because if I show judgment to these people as they're making a disclosure, they are very keen on people's reactions. That's part of the grooming process, is that they sense they're not safe, that amygdala fires in their limbic system, and they shut down. And so I truly have to have curiosity, and I truly have to have, not the what, but the why, and why not from a judgment standpoint. Because too many people, when you ask somebody why and you have that face with it, it comes off as so judgmental. And when somebody's done something bad and you're judging them, it shuts them down faster than nothing else. So almost like I have to have duct tape on my forehead to keep from showing contempt. And I have to deepen that voice, and I have to lean in, and my eyes have to be soft. And I truly have to be curious from a tactical empathy standpoint in order to try to get that information. But it's a great question, and it's something I've struggled with for the last 10, 15 years.
We just did a show on stress management. One of the things we talked about was video gaming, because it immerses all your senses.
Mm-hmm.
Even for a few minutes, you have to be fully immersed in this to actually function and engage, and it takes you out of the current mindset.
Absolutely, Brent. I'm glad you brought that up, because the second pillar of that for me was the jujitsu. And when I'm grappling with another human being that's trying to choke me or take my arm and, do an arm bar or whatever joint lock they're trying to do, if I'm not 100% on the mat, bad things are going to happen to me. Right. So it's interesting you brought that up, because anytime you can do something where you have to be 100% present, it really helps separate what you were doing to what you're into now. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's been very helpful for me.
What is something everyone needs to know about you before we dig into the show today?
Oh, geez. That is a great question. A question I've never been asked, Brent. So that's why I'm glad I'm on here. Something I've never been asked. I'll be straight with you. The question you just asked was that. About the emotional aspect. I've not been asked that before, which surprises me. But you can't really tell, I'm a bigger guy, big bald guy, federal agent. A lot of times our egos get the best of us, in that we don't want to ask for help. And you saw this a lot in the global war on terror, where a lot of our armed service members came back with PTSD, and they didn't, I don't want to say ask for help. Maybe we just didn't know how to recognize they were asking for it. We didn't provide them the resources. For me, I think the biggest thing to know for me is that you can try to be the biggest badass you want, but sometimes those scars are underneath. And if you don't have somebody to talk to those things about, I've had great partners over the years where anytime I've been acting differently, or I've been too far on the side of rationalizing with these bad guys, my buddies could rein me in and say, "Hey, why don't you take a week off? Why don't you go work some protection? Why don't you do something else for a week instead of talking to these bad guys?" So something as far as something about me to know is that the exterior is one thing, but we all have that gray matter, that we're all vulnerable, and I'm definitely not any different when it comes to that.
All right. Guys, we've been getting to know Brad just a little bit, who he is, what makes him tick, and what his life has been like, a little bit of his story. In the next part of the show, we're going to dive into the role of curiosity and communication. We're going to roll to our sponsor, and we'll be right back with more from Brad Beeler. Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank my listeners for all of your continued support. Mike has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their life, and he didn't stop just by creating the best pillow, but he also created the best bed sheets ever. Mike is offering a deal right now On his per-cal bed sheets, you get a set for as low as $24.98. That's right, guys, $24.98. I have some of these sheets in my house. They're what's in my kids' beds. The My Pillow per-cal sheets are breathable, cool, crisp cotton. They have an amazing feel, and they're especially great, especially as we roll into the warm part of the year. They're going to let you breathe while you're in bed. They have deep pockets to fit over any mattress. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Also, for a limited time, when you order over $100, you're going to receive $100 in free digital gifts. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code THRIVE. I know, super complicated. To receive the MyPillow per-cal sheets for as low as $24.98. Order now or call 1-800-794-5834. That's my special phone number for them. And use promo code THRIVE to get your discount today. Guys, welcome back. In the first part of the show, we just spent some time getting to know who Brad was and what makes him tick. In this part of the show, we're going to dive into the role of curiosity and communication. Now, Brad, I actually knew an FBI polygrapher when I was younger. He was my youth minister, a volunteer youth minister when I was a teenager. And one of the things that always amazed me about him was like he had a physical presence. Like he was a big guy like you, but like, everybody wanted to talk to him. Like we would be in places and like everybody wanted to speak to this man. He hated air travel because like if he didn't pull out that book immediately, the person next to him was dumped their life story. And there was just something that made everybody want to spill. And I don't think I'd ever seen that. My dad was a minister. He was good at talking to people and people liked him, but Bill just had this presence. And I don't think people realize with what you have done as a career, how successful you are at communication and moving past just average communication. So, let's start there with, and what I can only imagine is fairly intimidating. Like I've only seen what I've seen on television, right? And I don't hooking up a polygraph, and I know I'd get anxious just thinking about walking into that. So how is it with someone that actually has something they probably shouldn't share or don't want to share? How do you get people to open up?
Yeah, no, we all have skeletons in our closet. I don't care who you are. Some are bigger, some are smaller. You brought up the ministry. It's interesting with the FBI examiner and also your father. I find people that have migrated to federal law enforcement or law enforcement from that background, they tend to be some of the best communicators because one, they're either giving sermons, right? They're researching their sermon, right? They're preparing for their sermon. Their ability to connect the lyrics of what they're saying to the way that they say it, to their body language on how they're saying it, is just so in tune. They're able to look out at the congregation and seeing who's paying attention, who they're losing, so on and so forth. So people in the ministry are amazing communicators. And your friend probably always wanted to grab a book because he was so open that he wouldn't turn down that conversation. If that person opened up, he'd probably willingly engage in it. And I'm the same, is that you don't want to sit next to me on a plane. Because I'm going to start talking to you. But what people do now is they put the earbuds in as a sign I don't want to talk. So unfortunately, a lot of that has gone away. Plus, we always have the community on especially on the longer flights. We've got the movies and stuff to listen to. But one of the things that I find with curiosity, as far as being able to get people open up, is we are so used to surface level questions. How's the weather? Or how's this? How's that? That we never really get to that deeper foundational questions. So what I like to do is I talk about an analogy called FEEL: family, education, employment, and leisure. Too many times we talk about family, which people have very little control over. And then employment and education, sometimes that's just dependent upon where you live. You may not have a lot of choice in that either, or personal finances. But I don't care if you're in prison or if you are walking the streets. What you do in your free time, or what you dream you wish you were doing about your free time, is a great talking point. And I first learned this when I was in graduate school. Small town kid, studying criminology, and I got a job working in the jail in St. Louis. And what we would do is we would collect information from arrestees. So all walks of life: men, women, prostitutes, murderers, rapists, all runs the gamut. And it's amazing that their initial primacy effect of you was like, oh, who's this guy? Is he a snitch? Is he an informant? But when you wouldn't ask, you know, just point blank questions, and you would ask them, what do you like to do in your free time? Or where they would teach you. If somebody's there for methamphetamines, like, dude, I've never really, this is late 90s, so you didn't have the internet. I was like, dude, how do you make meth? And you show that honest interest, they'd be like, oh, well, God, okay. Well, you get some Coleman fuel, and you get a 2-liter bottle, and you get some matches, and you get, some batteries, and you do really, and you have feigned disbelief, or you're like, no way. And then the next thing you know, they're telling you how they sell it and how they package it, and you're like, oh my God, but that stuff's really weak, right? So you'd make a intentional misstatement, and they'd be like, no, this stuff is so strong. And it's amazing what I learned in those 2 years about crazy stuff, how to make coke, how to process cocaine, how to turn it into crack, methamphetamines, how to make moonshine, to how to increase the yields of my tomatoes. If you just ask people and you let them teach you, and I try to keep a ratio of 3-to-1 questions to, I like to ask 3 times more questions of the person than they ask of me. And I find that people will say, oh my God, you're such a good listener. You know why? Because I'm listening. Because when I'm asking a question, I'm listening, and I'm showing you signs of sincerity. I'm giving you empathetic statements. I'm giving you minimal encouragers like shaking my head. And it doesn't make someone a good listener. It just means you're asking the right questions. And when people provide you answers that are something they're passionate about, their dopamine goes off the charts. Their oxytocin, that love neurochemical, goes off the charts. But more importantly, what doesn't register is cortisol, the stress hormone. Like, let me ask you this, Brent. What do you like to do in your free time? I'm going to turn this around. What do you like to do in your free time?
Oh no, you're gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, like any free time goes to my wife and kids. That's what.
Okay. So here's the thing. Surface level question would be that, right? It would just stop right there. What
Mhm.
do you like to do with your wife and kids when you do have free time?
I don't actually care. I anything they want to do, I just want to be with them.
Okay. So I would have to work. I got to peel back those layers of the onion to say, well, what would be the perfect, even if you couldn't afford it, what would be the perfect vacation for you guys?
Oh goodness. This gets complicated because my wife and I are very different on this. Um, like we're getting ready to go camping. We
Okay.
don't. We're gonna go to the ocean, and I
Awesome.
my daughters get up with me and go for a walk at about 5 a.m. at the lowest tide, so we can
Hell
walk
yeah.
out there and just like find crabs on the beach and
Hell
starfish.
yeah. Seashells, all that
Yeah,
stuff. What is it about that time you appreciate most, Brent?
it is that deep connection. Just watching my kids be in awe and discover new things and experience new experiences. Just watching
Okay.
them blossom in that.
So here's the thing. If you were a bad guy and I was talking to you, and whether you did the crime or not, if I'm trying to connect with you, I saw your face light up when you were talking about your kids on the beach. I saw your face light up, right? You're literally going back through that moment, whenever that was. You're reliving that. And so, right now, if we took a blood draw on you, I'd see crazy amounts of dopamine. If I could measure your oxytocin, I'd see crazy amounts of oxytocin. But more importantly, the cortisol would be so low, you would not be stressed because you're talking about such a wonderful thing. So, I like to go there. I like to spend a lot of time there because it has a real connection. So, let's say, if I've got kids, my perfect vacation may be something completely different, but that same enjoyment I get, I can connect with you on that point. And the same thing with hobbies. Let's say you don't do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but you go fishing. Well, Brent, why do you like to go fishing? I just like to get away from the hustle and bustle. I like to have my own time. I like to be present with nature. So I could connect with you on that, even though I might not know anything about fishing. So it's really asking those questions that get to the underside of the iceberg, that lighten you up, okay, that bring that cortisol down. Because if I'm polygraphing you, it's because you either want your dream job or you were accused of a bad thing. Either one of those are a significant life event. You're going to come in, your heart rate's about 130, right? You're freaked out, you're sweaty, right? You have anxiety going through the roof. But if I bring that up, I don't care what the situation is, you're going to calm down, and it's going to let me get a better read. It's going to let me get hopefully a better result for both of us. So I think that is where curiosity comes in. Is it gets people to go to a good place in their life, whoever they are.
So if we take that, right, because I know my experience is people love to talk about themselves, right?
Mhm.
I've done a whole lot of interviews as a podcaster now over the years, and people love to talk about themselves. There's never a shortage. I've been an event coordinator for years. I've
Mhm.
never in my life had a hard time finding someone who wants to jump on stage and talk, right? Everybody wants to be in the big show,
Mhm.
and we've learned to. I honestly go back a lot of times and blame MySpace. Like MySpace was the first time we built
Yeah.
all to ourselves online.
Yes.
It was this place where we look at how amazing I
How
am,
perfect I am. Yes.
right? And
Mhm.
friends started, and we got less curious about each other and got more focused on self.
Yep.
That's the current environment most people are living in. So how can people use this to start connecting with the people around them, whether they're trying to get that job or
Yeah.
whether they're trying to maybe connect with their kids, their wives better? How do we
Yeah.
encourage?
So that's a great. I'm glad you brought that up, Brent, because you're right. MySpace started it all off, and then it was just from there exponential increase, right? So my best friend's deaf, and for 35 years we've spoken through. Uh, I slow down. I really enunciate. He can lip read, but I learned sign language so I can kind of spice our connection. But I've got to be present in that conversation. And for about the first 20 years of our existence, we didn't have emojis. We didn't have smartphones. I would have to call an operator who would try to breathe life in what he was texting to make it a good conversation for me, but he never got that. But once he got emojis, he went from the world's best. He went from the world's best I'd ever been around at understanding hidden emotion because he had to be present. He had to see, are you tracking? Are you collecting my message? He loved to ask questions. To when emojis came in, right? Everything just became asynchronous. Text, time to think about it. Okay, here would be the perfect response. Boom. No improv, none of that. Okay. So I think one of the best ways to get better at it is to communicate to people like this. I love to FaceTime people. I love to set up Zoom meetings when I have, a business talk because I want to see the other person. If my wife sends me a text and it says, if I say, how you doing? And she says, I'm fine. No emojis. What the frick does that mean? Does it mean I'm fine? Or does it mean I'm fine? I don't know. That's why I would love to just look at her face and be like, hey, how's work going? Oh, it's great. I'm fine. I see it now. Right. So that's how you connect is you look people in the eye in real time and you talk to people. And I think there's going to be a sea change where you see it. My kids, I got the same age kids as you, and I see it now too. Where sometimes now they like to Zoom, they like to FaceTime more than they do the text because they're starting to realize it. They're smart. We got to give them more credit than they did. Is that before MySpace, everybody put their diaries under their beds and they locked them away. And now everybody's diaries is a daily feed that's been filtered that, hey, I'm going to bring my hips in a little bit. I'm going to tighten my jaw in a little bit. I'm going to do all this to create the idealized version of myself. Right. So, in order to get away from that, we need to have real time face to face communications because I think the best communicators now are people that do that because they don't miscommunicate. Because I can see, as I'm speaking to you right now, I can see if I get a minimal encourager from you. I get that little head nod like you're tracking, or I get that little like he's not tracking, he didn't understand. It's the same thing your father when he was doing ministry, and he's talking to the congregation. He's going to see if people are tracking him in real time, and if they're not. But if he just writes up or if he sends an email or a newsletter, he doesn't get to see who he's affecting. So more face-to-face communication, I think, is the answer.
I actually had a hard time transitioning into podcasting
Mhm.
when I was starting because staring at a camera was so unnatural to me.
Yes.
I started
Yep.
as a solo show. I wasn't doing interviews yet, and I actually had I printed out a picture of my friend and cut a little
Hmm.
out and put it
Yep.
over the lens of the camera because staring at a lens, I was just so. I saw my first episode on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's an interesting point now because so many people, and I kind of reverse engineer it, but if I have my camera up top and I'm trying to make eye contact with you on the YouTube side, but then I can't see your reactions to what I'm saying. So when people view the screen, it looks like I'm looking down. So one of the great, a couple years ago that Kickstarter started this whole cameras that would pop down and be in the middle of the screen or the
Hmm.
suction cup. And that's what I've got is so it's right over your face. So right to your left of your face. So it looks like I'm looking at you right now, but yet I can see your reaction. So it's the best of both worlds. As human beings want eye contact at about 70%. So I can provide the eye contact, but yet I can see your reaction. So if nothing else from this podcast, you can either buy one of those fancy ones that are not that expensive, or you can just rig it up to where your webcam is right in the middle of your screen and it looks like you're looking at the audience.
Yeah, I have my SLR on a mounted that goes up into.
Hmm. Yep.
Otherwise,
Smart.
yeah, it's hard
Correct.
to actually see. But
Hmm.
making the transition to podcasting, I grew up speaking, and I used to be a youth minister, and where most people are terrified of public speaking, for me it was a very comfortable venue, and because I could gauge, like you said, I could see people. You pick a couple people in the audience,
Hmm.
and they're your mirrors. You're watching
Yeah.
these three
Yes.
or four people and how they're responding, and switching to staring at a screen was just so difficult to start out with.
It is. It is. It's a blank space. And you said picking a couple people in the audience. The key to that is don't just pick the people that are always going to be your fans.
Yeah.
I like to pick one of those people. And then I like to pick the person that's just starting out the presentation with their arms crossed, head down. Why am I here? Because between two of those, I'm going to find out where we're at. Okay. If I can get that person to uncross their arms and lean forward a little bit, that's not real happy at the start, I know I'm doing a good job. Too many times we pick our people that are always vibing off us. They're our best friends, and we just contact them, and we don't know if we're doing a good job or not. They're just they're our running buddies. They're our wolf pack. So get one of each, to help you gauge.
If your relationships are not where you want them to be, I want you to know I got you. Relationships take a lot of work and they can fall on the back burner pretty easily as you're empire building, guys. And I know you're putting a lot of work on your life, but unfortunately, that often means the things that really matter, like the people in our lives, kind of suffer from the consequences of neglect. Men often suffer from damage to their relationships while they're trying to provide and fulfill their responsibilities. Reach out, schedule your free discovery call at purposedrivenmen.com to learn the skills you need to connect deeply with the people who matter most. And let's get those relationships that you're doing this all for patched up today. You said the FEEL acronym: family, employment, education, leisure. And we lean into family sometimes a little much because that's just what we
Yeah.
migrate towards. How can I use this in like a coworker or job scenario where I'm trying to connect with my coworkers? Is just the same approach. I'm going to ask them like leisure questions and
Yeah, that's a good question, Brent. So too many times it's what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm grilling. Oh, I'm playing golf. Oh, I'm this. And that's it. You got to ask that next question. One, oh, that sounds awesome. Like what kind of grill you got? Oh, I got a green egg. Oh, you're kidding me. So do I, dude. I love that thing. Man, that thing gets up to 900 degrees, does this and this. Or they have a pellet grill, or they have whatever it is. What are they grilling? What kind of grill? What's their setup? I'm going hunting. Oh, what are you hunting for? Whatever it is, you got to ask. And I know this sounds so simplistic, but too many times we just ask the question, what are you doing this weekend? The reason I like to ask that question on a Friday is because they're probably not going to be working. So now you're going to ask a question of something they're doing in their free time, and it lets you ask that follow up question. So go to that 3-to-1 ratio And you'll find, man, people will start opening up to you because they're like, oh, he's such a good listener. No, I'm just asking questions. I can't be talking while they're talking. So I automatically become, in their eyes, a good listener. And then look, there's going to be times where people just don't open up to you. Don't try too hard with those people. It's work. Some people don't want to cross that threshold and be your buddy. And I think you're going to sense that from a body language standpoint. When, hey, I've tried multiple times to open up to Bob, and it's just not happening. So don't try too hard. But yeah, I think Friday's a really good time to ask, hey, what do you got going on this weekend? And then in your situation, you may say, hey, I'm going camping. Oh, where are you headed? You got a little pop up? Or are you doing a tent? And that just kind of gets into that next thing. And before you know, you've been talking an hour. Who's been talking for 50 of those minutes? You. Dopamine. All right. Cortisol's down. You are associating me now with a friend, because guess what? I'm showing you an eyebrow flash when you're talking. I'm popping my head to the side to expose my carotid artery. I'm leaning in to show interest. I'm not crossing up. I'm not having, the crossed arms, the cross legs, those anchor points. I don't have those. I'm showing like I honestly care. I'm giving you those minimal encouragers. And as a result, you're associating me with taking in the stimulus that I'm providing. So I think leisure to me is the easiest way to do that. You can get way too personal. One, if you talk at employment, you're talking work. In St. Louis, where I'm from, it's a common kind of joke that when you first meet somebody, you say, "What high school did you go to?" Because that says there's so many high schools, and it says, "Did you go private? Did you go public? Are you a North Side or South Sider?" So, in some areas, that is a good question to ask people. But family can be too personal, especially with work colleagues. So a nice safe space is that leisure block. And let's say I would talk to a lot of people in jail where they'd be like, dude, what do you mean? What do I do in my free time? I'm freaking locked up 23 hours a day. I'll say, well, in a perfect world, what would you do? Or when you get out, what do you want to do? Oh, then their eyes light up. Then they start talking to you. So even if it's not something they can do right now because they're overworked or they don't have time, too many times I hear that BS of, I just don't have time. So follow it up with, well, if you did, in a perfect world type thing, what would you do? And you'd be surprised at how many times that can further the conversation.
I feel like we have to jump back to something you said earlier in the conversation, and it was you have to come across very genuine. One of the things you have to work about with some of the people you have to interview is not showing that judgment or that disdain or having that reaction, because you have to show a genuine curiosity.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that everybody, especially in today's culture, is familiar with how that actually looks, right? Because it's one thing, you can ask the question, but if you don't actually want to know the answer, like, it's going to be stamped on your face.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's a couple things when you're doing curiosity. If I ask you, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And you're like, oh, dude, I'm running a 5K. Let's say I've done a full Ironman. The last thing I want to do is say, I ran a marathon. I don't want, when you talk about something that's important to you, and I don't want to get into the comparative nature and I'm sure you've seen this tons of times where you bring up a topic and somebody immediately says, oh, me too. And then you're not talking now. Now we're comparing. And too often in society now, that's what we do. So if I've done something that you've done, I want to still be curious. And eventually I'm going to circle back to, we share this interest, but I don't want it to be about me. It's not about me. It's about you. So it's called the platinum rule. And Dr. Alessandra talked about this. And it's not do unto others as you want done unto them. It's do unto others as they want done unto them. And what they want done unto them is to be able to talk and to be able to inquire, be inquired about. So I want to keep the focus about them. I don't want to provide them advice when I'm talking to them. And I don't want to, like you brought up, show contempt. And that's just in the form of furrowing the brow. And you've probably seen this, Brent, when somebody asks you or you ask somebody a question, and it could be on a podcast or it could be work, and they maybe didn't hear you, but they're like, what? And they furrow their brow down. That is such a universal sign of contempt and like, whoa, wow, man, so I've lost admissions, confessions to that, where somebody was providing me at an admission about an awful thing they did. If this was a more not so much of a PG podcast. I could get a little bit more specific. I don't want to talk about some of the things that your listeners may have a problem with, but applicants have told me things that I remember one in particular, and I won't get into the specifics of what this said, but I was training another polygraph examiner, and I'm going through a list of criminal activity, and I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, so you did that, yeah, okay, what else? Okay, what else? Oh, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. Keep that outside the room. Like, I'm showing no judgment when this person is talking about some horrific criminal activity that I know they're not going to get hired on the job now, but I'm just collecting it all. And he said the craziest thing I've ever heard that he had done when he was earlier, and it involved an animal. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. And I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. So you're only 16? Okay, don't worry about it. No big deal. My partner, I can see out of my corner of my eyes, is just like, oh my God, and it's one of those things where I had done that early on in my polygraph career when somebody was making some significant admissions to me, and I just showed a little micro expression of contempt, and it shut them down. And I lost any further admissions because of judgment. In that, imagine, and I don't know what denomination that you were in when you were a minister, but in the Catholic faith, imagine the concept of the confessional. Why do people go to a confessional? Now, it's part of the Catholic faith, but what aspects of a confessional make it open for communication? If I had to ask you, Brent, what would you say?
Non-judgment.
Non-judgment, right? No priest is going to be in there and somebody's coming in and say, hey, forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. And whatever they say, the priest follows up with, are you kidding me? Really? And they're not going to scream it. And they don't have a microphone, one of these fancy microphones in front of us while they're doing it. And they're not even looking at them, and it's shrouded and they don't know who they're talking about. And it's anonymity, right? That's good communication. That's like your friend. If you're talking to your friend, Brent, whoever your best friend is, and let's say you're having a problem at work, what are they going to do? You're talking to them because you like, trust, and respect them. But also, they're going to be blaming your boss. They're going to understand why you did what you did, and they're going to minimize the impact of your actions. They're going to be your buddy. Okay, I've got an acronym that basically you blame anyone else. You understand why they did it. You don't maybe agree with it, but you understand it. You diminish the impact of the actions. You demonstrate commonality through metaphors and analogies, and you focus on the why and not the what. You be their buddy. Okay, and that's what we want to do to get people to open up to us. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think the priest analogy is a good one that anybody can kind of resonate with, is that you don't show contempt, but more importantly, you don't show judgment.
Yeah, it's become a very difficult thing. I like to make people uncomfortable because I do talk to people for a living. So I'm
Mhm.
that guy that you're like walking by at church. I love the shallow relationships at church where people are like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Well, actually," and
Right.
I no one's expecting you to actually give that answer. They're like, we're conditioned. How you doing? Oh, I'm great. Are you?
Hmm.
Really? Because you look a little tired. Things don't look like they're going well. No one's expecting the answer anymore because we've just
Yeah.
gotten to this surface level.
Yes. And your follow up when it's around everybody else is probably going to lead to, no, really, I am. But if you were in a private setting with them, or if after the service, if you were in a private situation, you could probably put your hand on your shoulder and be like, really, how's it going? And you'd be surprised that maybe they might open up to you. So privacy plays such an important part in communication. So if you can be curious in private while being non-judgmental, you're going to get information at a lot higher rate.
There's so much to unpack today, guys. Before we go any farther, do all the good social media nonsense that I hate in this part of the show. Like, share, better yet, share this with somebody that actually matters to you. That is the best thing. I don't care about the likes, whatever. I hate the social media nonsense. You guys all know that. Share this with somebody who would benefit from this conversation, that this will help them and actually apply some of these things that Brad is sharing with you guys. Guys, this is solid gold. Okay. Communication is a dying skill these days, and we need it more than ever right now in our lives. So please, please, please share this with somebody who would benefit from this conversation. Brad, you have seen communication up and down in every aspect of it, and people are so, I want to say, jaded, right?
Mhm.
We've gotten to such a point in society that people don't believe anybody cares, that people don't
Yep.
think that anybody's actually invested in them. And half the time we're terrified someone's just trying to like lie to us and take advantage of
Yep.
it,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So how do we help ourselves to navigate that scenario where we want to connect with people and someone's starting to communicate with us? How do we get out of our own way and communicate but not get taken advantage of in that situation?
Yeah, so you want to have almost we want to be curious, but you want to almost trust but verify when people are coming at you with anything. I learned this just with the amount of scams that we would investigate in the Secret Services. Most of them revolve around trying to get immediate trust, trying to use influence principles, and trying to force an action immediately. So they want to have access to you. Access is what's so important. And in the old days, it used to have to be somebody that would come to your door to get access. Now they can do it online in a million different ways. So the key way to avoid that is to give yourself time to think, to verify. Um, but it's hard that we live in this world because we're so tribal, right? We're so Fox News versus MSNBC, or this versus that, Republican versus Democrat, blue and red. And that the one thing about the Secret Service that helped me was we protected people from all over the world, and we protected Republicans and we protected Democrats on a daily basis, and we didn't get involved in the politics. Yes, we had our internal views, but one day I would be hearing a Kamala Harris speech, and the next day I'd be hearing a Trump speech. Not, I'd be in the, you'd be, doing your work. And so you would see both sides and you would see attendees of both sides. And that's what I always say to people is be careful the rabbit hole you go down, in that try to have friends that are on both sides of the aisle. Watch. I'm a big fan, and I'm not going to, mention any here. You can go find, your listeners can go find your own, but there's news sources out there that surprisingly do the Walter Cronkite thing and just report the news, and then they let you decide. Um, so you can find these independent news sources that will just provide you information. And I like to look at both sides because the criminals I talk to come from all walks of life. Some are conspiracy theorists. Some think the moon landing was fake. Whatever your little thing is, the Earth's flat. I've heard it all. I need to understand both sides of that equation and where they're coming from in order to connect with them. So if you're stuck in this little, it's like my parents at Christmas. My parents are on one side of the political spectrum. My wife's parents are 100% on the other side of the political spectrum. And when they get together over the turkey or the ham, it's interesting because I just know when the grenade is lobbed by one of my sisters that it's an explosion. And you're just better off not to talk about those things, not to talk about politics. So my hope is that people get a variety of news sources so that they can collectively make up their own opinion. Because when you don't do that and you stay in your tribe, conspiracy theories thrive, and communication is only with people that agree with your opinion. And that's never going to help you.
No echo chambers.
Yes,
You have to listen to me, even though I'm a conspiracy theorist.
correct.
I actually love uh, finding people with different ideals and opinions because it makes conversations more fun.
Yes, and you learn things, or at least even if you don't agree with them, you may learn to see things from a different perspective, or at least you understand why they feel that way, which
Right?
sometimes is half the battle, right?
Back pre 2016 election, I went out of my way to find a non-mainstream news commentator who was on the opposite side of the aisle from me
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I found he actually just reported the news. He was very Walter Cronkite
Right.
on that, which I deeply
Yeah.
appreciated. And it's like, okay, why do people feel this way as opposed to this way, right? I just wanted an honest opinion, not some kind of slant on it. So I respected his journalism and it's like, okay, I want to hear this
Yeah.
other side
The,
of the
the
conversation.
key word there, Brent, is you said the word respect, right? Think of it this way: like the NHL finals just ended the other day. You got the Panthers, you got the Oilers. They're beating the tar out of each other for 6 games. When the Panthers won, what do they do at the end? They get together, they take their helmets off, they take their gloves off, and they shake hands. They have respect for one another. And that's what we've lost as a society. And that most of my protection was with George Herbert Walker Bush, and spent 4 years with him. And the one thing I saw about him was his no new taxes and then going back on it was not a political ploy. He did that because he thought that that was a better deal for the American people. He didn't care about poll numbers. He was told by his advisors when the Berlin Wall came down, go over there and have a big political rally. And he's like, no, that puts Gorbachev in a horrible situation. Yeah, but you'll get 5 percentage point bump. It may help you win the 92 election. It's not about politics, people. Since then, it's you don't have that middle 15-20% as much as we should. So yeah, it's get out of the echo chamber, listen to the other side. You may not agree with them. I don't agree with child molesters and murderers, but I talk to them and I listen. Why did they feel as if they needed to do that thing? Because next time I talk to one of them, I'm going to have more understanding and be able to relate to them. Don't agree with it, but I'll be able to talk to them a lot better next time.
Guys, this is living proof you can actually talk to anybody, no matter how much you dislike them,
Literally.
right? We can learn to communicate respectfully, and just starting with this curiosity approach is going to change the conversations you're having with people for the better. You can improve all the relationships, your work relationships, your family relationships. This little tidbit of just curiosity and actually being invested in other people is going to move the needle for you so much. Brad, where is the best place for people to connect with you?
Yeah, I would say probably LinkedIn. I really like messing around on LinkedIn, and I'll definitely give you the show notes, or in the show notes you can put a link, but it's just Brad Beeler 1865, and that's the same on my Instagram. So feel free to connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. However I can help you, I'd definitely be willing to do so.
When's the book coming out? What's it called?
Man, it's not till February. It's called Tell Me Everything, and I'm super excited about it. It's Simon & Schuster's distributing it, so I'm blessed to have a good distributor, but Matt Holt Books, and very, very excited to hopefully see how it turns out, and hopefully can help you in your personal and professional life.
Are you done writing the main manuscript and we're
Yeah.
alone? How long?
Yeah, I turned it in last week.
Yeah.
25 years it took me to write. I literally did, but I would say between my time retiring, I really ramped it up, and was blessed to have good people like Joe Navarro, Robin Dreek, some FBI behavioral profilers, the body language experts and such that were able to kind of work with me. Dr. Abby Moronio, which would be a great guest for you in the future, body language expert. She was very, very helpful in trying to help me kind of shape this. So I've been very, very happy to have good people in my corner.
That's incredible. Now, what is the next project beyond promoting the book? Have you gotten that far, or we're just in the promotional circle?
Write another book. We want to write a book about a collaborative project with Dr. Moronio. Her looking at the science behind trust and how to establish trust, and then the real world practitioner effect of how do we get trust from parents, teachers, coaches, friends, and then unfortunately criminals. But how can we do that in everyday life to further our relationships and do so in a non-adversarial standpoint? Because influence is kind of like a hammer. It can be used to build things and it can be used to break things. It can be used maliciously. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can do both and how you can protect yourself from people that may be misusing it, narcissists and scammers and those types of things.
You guys should write a targeted book at social media influencers. How to build your following. How to build that.
How to build your following.
Right
there you go. Using influence techniques and trust.
That's big.
All right. Well, if we do, I'm gonna credit you, Brent, with coming up with that idea.
Oh, don't blame me, please. Now, guys, I know you're all dying to know what the top grossing movie of 2014 was, if anybody actually still cares, because I don't actually. But you guessed Guardians of the Galaxy, and you were correct. In 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy was the top movie. I credit the soundtrack because it had the most incredible soundtrack, but it's the right age group for me.
Yeah, perfect.
Brad, we've talked a lot, and you've enlightened us a lot on our communication skills. I've talked to people who specialize in communication before, but I've never had anyone dive into how being truly curious about people will actually impact in a massive way. And certainly with your experience in this. And we've covered a lot, but right, people tune in, tune out.
Yep.
If the people listening heard nothing else, and it doesn't even have to be about this, they heard nothing else, what do you want them to take away today?
Take the time. What I mean by that is access. You've got to be present and put your phone down when you're talking to people. Okay, we don't do that. We're multitasking. Multitasking, you can't do it. So when you're talking to your kids, when you're in meetings, put your goddamn phone down. Okay? And look people in the eyes and do a great handshake. And that great handshake is warm and it's dry. I put antiperspirant on my hands, so you never get a wet handshake from me. I warm it up and it's a hand hold. It's not a handshake. You do those things, you're going to have a better first impression with people. But be present, be in the moment. Don't multitask. Your kids, they need to come home and tell you how they did in school. If you're sitting there, you're looking at your Facebook reel while they're talking to you, they see that, they sense that. So be present.
Love it. Guys, for myself and Brad, thanks for hanging out with us today. Be better tomorrow because of what you do today, and we'll see you on the next one.
The Driven to Thrive broadcast, purpose, growth, and lasting impact for men. Helping men go from living to thriving, purpose-filled, intentional lives.
Affiliate disclaimer. MyPillow, like any other source, cycles promos. Because of the extended life cycle of a podcast, the immediate promotion that you heard mentioned in this episode may no longer be in effect when you hear it, because you could be hearing this 5 years from when I recorded it. However, as long as MyPillow is a sponsor of the Driven to Thrive broadcast, our show, our promo code THRIVE is always good for up to 80% off your order and free shipping on orders over $75. No matter what you hear in this episode, as far as the current promo, Thrive is always good as long as MyPillow is a sponsor of the show for up to 80% off your order and free shipping over $75.